Hey guys, my name's Maddie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I haven't made this video in a year and a half, and it's time to do it again. It really is. It's felt like it's been thousands of years, but it's only been a year and a half. If you hear scratching, my tegus are pooping in the water dish behind me, so that's what you're hearing. This is gonna be a long video, so I don't wanna sit here and do the intro for too long, but basically, these are all of my pets. Since last video, I've moved out of my parents' house, and I have my own house now, and my own pet room, so it's pretty great. So without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm gonna show you all of my pets. All right, the first animal we have is my most normal, and this is my dog. This is Ellie. She is a 4-year-old red merle border collie, and she is a fantastic girl. She's very smart, as most border collies are, and very stubborn at the same time. And we do a lot together. We do a lot of dog sports. She really likes disc and flyball recently, but we've done some other stuff in the past. And yeah, we do a lot together, and she's a lot of fun. She just wants to go because she's like, why am I in this hot, gross room? All right, you can go. Bye. Bye. You good? You had a moment. I love you. Next, we have my 2 homing pigeons. This one is Cooper. He is my 1-year-old male kite saddle homing pigeon. And this one is Little Bird. She is also 1-year-old, and she is a red grizzle pigeon. And they are lovely. They are the loves of my life. I hand-raised Cooper, and he had no issues. Little Bird I got when she was very young, and she actually developed anorexia from being quarantined away from other birds, because when I brought her in my house, I had her away from Cooper in another room, and she got really stressed because she was away and stopped eating. So it was really scary. She spent the first week of her life in an ICU bird unit, and she ended up making it. So we're very fortunate about that. She does still have some health issues, so I don't get her out very often around me. She spends time alone because too much stimulation causes her to overlay eggs. So unfortunately, I have to keep these 2 separate unless they're being supervised, so she doesn't get too overstimulated and lay eggs. So here they are close up. I know it's really, really bright, so it's hard to see them. And if you're wondering what's on them, these are actually called flippers. They're like bird diaper harnesses, kind of. And I get mine from Bev, from Bev's Bird Boutique. And these are the only diapers that they actually like, because they have a very minimal back. I don't know if you can see that. Instead of it being super invasive on their back, so they actually feel like they can move and fly freely, and they are not clipped. They could fly away if they wanted to. Pigeons are fantastic pets. Stop that. Stop that. Cool. So those are my 2 pigeons. Next we have my Cohen giant tegu. This is Puppy. I think he's about 3 years old. I got him when he was about 1 or 2, and he was really underweight, and the guy told me that he was keeping him small to breed him with his tiny female. So I'm not sure if he'll actually reach full size, but since I've had him, he has put on some pretty amazing growth, and he's gotten pretty dang big. Let's see if I can show you. Here he is. He's pretty big, pretty long, probably about 3.5 feet at this point. And I think he's about 3 years old. So the first year of his life that I got him, he was pretty slow growing. But after he hibernated, the second year, he shot up like crazy. So that's Puppy, my Cohen giant tegu. All right, and here's my other tegu. This is Deja. She is my 4 to 5-year-old Argentine black and white tegu. She's a female, and I got her as a rescue. She was kept inside of a closet in a Tupperware tub with improper heating and lighting. And since I've gotten her, she's really came out of her shell, and she's actually a pretty sweet girl. So that's Deja, and she's also pretty big. They're about the same size right now, but she's full grown. Her tail is really, really long. So yeah, that's Deja. Hopefully this goes better than my last Be My Pets video did. Please don't jump. This is Poppy. She is a hyperspastic 3-year-old red cream harlequin crested gecko. And is she 3? She's not 3. She's probably about 3. She's 2.5 or 3 years old at this point. And yeah, she's crazy. Usually, this is not her typical behavior. That's her typical behavior. She jumps all the time. She flings herself everywhere. She doesn't care the consequences. She tries to sleep to her death constantly. and I'm going to show you her babies because I had babies with her, or no, I didn't have babies with her. She had babies with my friend Tyler's crested gecko this year, and she has 5 babies. So I'm going to show you those babies now, but I'm not going to hold them because I feel like that would be a whole lot of jumping madness and I would end up losing a baby gecko in my pet room. So I'm just going to show you them inside of their temporary tub setups. Also, I should mention, I'm not keeping all of those babies. The babies will go to new homes. I just want to wait till they're large enough to be able to sex before they go to their new homes, ideally. But they're all doing really well and eating really well, so yeah. So that's Poppy, my red cream harlequin crested gecko. Next we have Neva. She is my 6 or 7-year-old adult leopard gecko. Her morph is, I believe, Super Snow Eclipse Het Trumper, and she is super cute. I only got her last year from a breeder. She had been bred previously, I'm pretty sure like her whole life, and now I have her with no intentions of breeding, obviously. She is now in retirement and living the life as a spoiled little girl, and she's absolutely adorable. So there she is. There's Neva. She's super sweet and super calm. Now we are moving on to snakes. If you are afraid of snakes, I suggest you click the timestamp here and move forward. Although I think you should stay because snakes are not really something to be afraid of. They're very chill little snakes and I think you'll enjoy them. So without further ado, let's get into my snakes. Next we have Harold. Harold is a Anery Kenyan sand boa. I believe Harold might actually be a female at this point, but I got him/her unsexed. He or she is about 1.5 years old. So that is Harold, my Kenyan sand boa. First up for my ball pythons, this is Percy. He is my youngest ball python. He is almost 1 year old now, and he is a super pewter ball python. He's super sweet. He's a male, and he's really adorable. He's a little bit more skittish than my other ball pythons, and he had some medical problems when we first got him. I was worried that it was because he had like internal kinks or something, but we got x-rays and it turns out he's fine. That is Percy, my super pewter ball python. All right, next we have Banan. He is a male banana ball python. I believe he is about 2.5 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And he is really gorgeous, super pretty. The banana morph is one of my favorites. I just really love their coloration and the way that they have little speckles on them. So it's really pretty. The cool thing about Banan is all of his yellow doesn't really have any speckles on it. It's just kind of like the background pattern. So I've seen some bananas that have the speckles on the yellow as well, but he just has it on the background. So that's Banan. Next we have Casper. He is a 3-year-old orange ghost ball python. He's being shy and not showing his face. He's really pretty and he's actually kind of chunky, despite the fact that he is my worst eater out of all of my ball pythons. It's really hit or miss with him. And he's really sweet. I've had him since he was like itty bitty. I guess I've had Percy and Banan since they were really itty bitty too, but I've had him since he was like really, really small. So that's Casper, and if I didn't say it already, I think he's about 3 years old. So there's Casper. There he is. And then last but not least for my ball pythons, we have Trouser. She is my largest ball python. I believe she is about 5 years old, and she is a pastel. That's her morph. She's a female, and she is definitely the most touchy of all of my snakes. She can be nippy in her cage, but she's pretty sweet once you get her out, as long as you're pretty slow moving with her. I got her from someone who kept her in a very, very small rack, and she's pretty much been really great since then. She loves her enclosure. And I am pretty aware that she is very chunky. She's on a diet right now, and I think the reason it's taking her so long to lose weight is because she doesn't move. She pretty much stays in the same spot all the time. Unlike my males who are more like active and they like to climb around their enclosure, she pretty much likes staying in one spot, and me too, I understand. So that's Trouser. So next for my snakes, this is Versace. He is a 1-year-old male tricolor hognose. He's really super gorgeous. And he is still so tiny because he really, really, really sucks at eating. He's an absolutely terrible eater. He's the only snake of mine that still needs to take live because he absolutely will not take frozen thawed or any of the other methods that I've tried doing with him, even like pre-killed or anything. He won't do it. He says he needs live and he only will take pinkies, nothing larger than pinkies, so it's very frustrating. So I hope we can get him off of that so he can grow a little bit faster because he is very, very, very slow growing. He also doesn't like being handled at all, and he spends most of his time buried, so I almost never see him. So it's a very rare treat when he comes up to eat, and I actually get to see him. So that is Versace, my male tricolor hognose. All right, so last for my snakes is my male ghost corn snake. His name is Saturn. He's about 7 months old, but he's actually behind the background in his terrarium, and I don't want to have to like remove everything to get him out of there just for a video, so I'm just going to insert some video clips of him. He's gorgeous, he's really tiny, and he hates being handled. He is super flighty and likes to bite a whole lot. So that is Saturn, my male ghost corn snake. This is Spoopy. He or she is a blue phase snowflake White's tree frog, and he or she is about 9 months old now. Very, very picky at eating. Will only eat crickets and only if they are free roaming in her enclosure. So kind of frustrating, but that is Spoopy. Super gorgeous. You can see all the little spots on her. She's been jumping like crazy. It has taken me so long for her to stay. No! Okay, oh, thank goodness. Snoop Frog would never do this to me. So that's Spoopy. All right, and then my next frog is named Snoop Frog. Snoop Frog is actually a female. She is just a regular white stumpy tree frog, and she is gorgeous. I've had her for almost 2 years now, but I got her as a full-grown adult, so I have no idea how old she is, but she's pretty great. Pretty iconic, doesn't do much, pretty chunky, likes to eat, and I relate. So that's Snoop Frog. So now we're moving on to rats. Let's get into rats now. If you hear scurrying, it's because they're in a cage next to me temporarily, so I don't have to run in and out of my room constantly to go grab them. Okay, so we'll start with my male rats. This is Uno. He is a 2.5-year-old. I wish you could have just seen him pee all over me. That was cute. He is a blazed Dumbo rat. He does not like being held. He runs and runs and runs. That was really cute though. Thanks, bud. And he's really, really, really sweet. As you can see, he's still pretty active for 2.5 years old for being a very old man. And I love him. He's so wonderful. Say hi. Say hi. Hi, Uno. Say hi. I'm very, very fortunate that he's still as active and healthy as he is at 2.5. All right, next we have Uno's brother, Nemo. Nemo is 2.5 years old as well. They were born on the same day, and he is also very healthy. He's a more snuggly male rat, more like a typical male rat would be, and he is super sweet. So that is Nemo. This is Dos. He is Uno's son. He is 1.5 years old. He is the brother to Badger. He's super sweet and super calm and super lovable. Adorable, unlike his father, who is super cute, but still super all over the place. So that's Dos. All right, and then last for my male rats is Parker. Parker was rescued from a park in West Virginia. Someone had set him loose, and he was running up to people for help, and then he ended up with me after a rescue took him in and brought him to me in Ohio. So that is Parker. He is about 2.5 to 3 years old at this point. Still doing really well, but definitely slower than the other two boys. All right, now we're moving on to my 2 female rats. First of my female rats is Badger. She is about 1.5 years old, and she is super cute. Her name is Badger because she looks like she has a badger stripe on her face, as you can see. And she's super cute. Her fur is super soft. She almost feels like velvet. She's really sweet. So that's Badger. This is my other female rat. She is a Dumbo double Rex female, and her name is Voodoo. She is mostly black, but she has some white on her belly. She's super active and loves to run around and play. She's probably my most playful of all of my rats. That is Voodoo. Oh, and she's the same age as Badger. She's 1.5 years. So that's all of my rats. Now we're on to my inverts, which includes my tarantulas, my isopods, my millipedes, and my cockroaches. So if you're not okay with any of that, I suggest you stay because they're not scary and they're not gonna jump at the camera or anything. They're really pretty and I think you'll like them. So let's get on to those. So first we're gonna start with my millipedes. We'll start with my African giant black millipedes. First is my tiniest one. This is Legacy. I believe he's about 1.5 years to 2 years old at this point. He's still super tiny, growing really slowly, but has grown a lot since I've gotten him. I should also mention that my African giant black millipedes are all captive bred. So just in case you're curious. So that is Legacy. All right, now we'll get on to my big guys. This is Pete. I just got him pretty recently. He is a captive bred adult. And as you can see, he is really big and really gentle. He doesn't even want to crawl onto my hand, let alone be aggressive towards me, because millipedes are not aggressive animals. They are really fascinating, really sweet, and really adorable. Lots of little legs. So that is Pete. This is Millie. Millie is my female African giant black millipede. Hello, how are you doing? She's really cute. She's a little bit smaller than Pete is, but still obviously very large. So that is Millie. And if you guys are curious what it feels like to have these guys walk on you, it kind of feels like a toothbrush just running over your hand. So just a cool fun fact. So that is Millie and Pete. And they are also not venomous if you're curious. So those are my African giant black millipedes. Now we'll get on to my other millipedes. And I have a colony of bumblebee millipedes. So now I'm gonna switch cameras so I can actually show you inside of like tubs and stuff, because the rest of my animals are in enclosures and tubs and I don't often handle them. So we're gonna switch to that now. So these are my bumblebee millipedes. I actually have no idea how many of them I have in here. I think probably about, I think I started with like 10. And they have definitely been reproducing a lot. So you can see some of them in there. They're really cool looking. They're not nearly as big as my African giant black millipedes, but they're still really cool. So yeah, those are my bumblebee millipedes. All right, so these are my powder orange isopods. They're really cool looking. You can see them there, scurrying around. This is actually my largest colony of isopods. They're in the largest tub because there's a lot of them, even though it doesn't really seem like it right now. They bury down under all of the top layer of wood and leaves. These are my Dalmatian isopods. They are reproducing like mad. As you can see, there are so many babies in here. I think these guys are actually producing the most babies out of any of them. You can see them all running away. So those are my Dalmatian isopods. These are my dairy cow isopods. I don't have very many of these guys. There they are. They look pretty similar to the Dalmatians, but they're heavier. Oh, sorry. They have more black spots than the Dalmatians do. So those are my dairy cow isopods. These are my little C isopods. If we can find any, there's one. They kind of look like normal isopods, but they're more like purplish. You can see a bunch of babies running around there. So yeah, those are my little C isopods. These are my calico isopods. The cool things about these isopods is they're kind of like orange and gray, but some of them vary heavily from like dark gray to a bright orange, and then some of them are like splashed, so that's a gray one. These guys bury a lot, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to find any more. There's a baby there that's more orange, but it's kind of hard to see. But yeah, they're really cool looking, but I thought this colony had completely died off, but then I started seeing babies, so hopefully we still have some more in here. Those are my calico isopods. All right, these are my brickwork isopods. There's one. Sometimes they have like yellow dots on their back. Oh, there's one, hello. Yeah, those are brickwork isopods. Last but not least, and a favorite of mine for sure, are my zebra isopods. These guys are so cool looking. They also have a ton of giant springtails in there, so that's what you're seeing there. Those are not babies, although I wish they were. Those are my zebra isopods. They're super cool looking. This is my colony of Halloween hissing cockroaches. However, I almost never see the adults because they're always hiding inside of this piece of wood. Heard a hiss. Anyway, they are in there. I will put a picture of what they look like because they are stubborn and don't want to come out and say hello, but they have a lot of babies. I see the babies out and about all the time, but I almost never see the adults. The babies hide inside of this piece of cork. There's one right there. Super frustrating that I never see them because I think they're really pretty, but it's okay. Now we're moving on to tarantulas. This is Gus. He is my 6 to 7 year old Brazilian black tarantula. He's really sweet and very old for a male tarantula. So there he is. He doesn't do much. That's Gus. And the only tarantula of mine that has a name. There's my other adult tarantula, my female P. erminia. She's super pretty, but she spends most of her time just behind her cork bark doing just that. Sitting. So I will put a picture of her in the screen because she's really pretty. I'm not actually sure how old she is because I got her as an adult. All right, there's no possible way you're going to be able to see this tarantula, but he is inside of this hole. So I will put a picture of what the adult specimen looks like, because I don't even have a good picture of him because he is constantly in his cork tube. But he or she. By the molt, I think it looks like a girl. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But he or she is a Y. diversipes tarantula. This was actually my very first tarantula ever. Alright, so for my last two animals, it is just two tarantula slings. This is a G. pulchra, or Brazilian black tarantula. And they are a year and a half old now, almost, I think. It's been almost that long. Still that tiny. So slow growing. And she is a female, so luckily she'll be around for a very long time, so it's okay if she grows slow. Last but not least is my A. purpura tarantula, or purple pink toe. I wish it would focus. And I think he or she is in pre-molt because they're not moving too much. But you can kind of see the bottom of them right there. So that is my A. purpura. And the last of my animals. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are curious about any of my animals that you saw in the last video that you didn't see in this one, I will put some information about some of the animals I no longer have in the description of this video so you guys can figure out where they went. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions for me, make sure to leave them in the comments. So it would mean a lot to me if you guys click the subscribe button. We are almost to 100,000, which is amazing. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been amazing towards me, and I love making videos with my pets, so I hope you guys will subscribe so you can continue to see more of my animals. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!